Disgaea D2 puts you back in the control of Sirius' favorite Lahar, Edna, and Flan, and taking place where the first game left off. Lahar is now the Overlord of the Netherworld, but many are not impressed and do not believe he should be the rightful Overlord. Lahar goes on a quest to spread his influence as the rightful Overlord, by force. Now the story is just as crazy and senseless as any Disgaea game for the most part. Little sisters and idols now included. It's got some good humor and boob jokes, and it's all okay for the most part. However, after I was all said and done with the story, I found that this game just didn't hold up to par with the last set of Disgaea games. Crazy story and humor and all. I just didn't find this one as entertaining in those aspects as I did with the other games. That's not to take anything away from this entry. It's good, it's just not as strong as the others. Since this entry in the series went back to revisit some serious favorites, it would have been nice to see some characters from the first Disgaea game make a return as well, such as Gordon and his crew, or Mid-Boss. That's just to name a few. Now the voice acting is good as a whole, however Flan's and Lahara's voice is going to take some getting used to, or take some re-getting accustomed to if you played the first Disgaea game some time ago. They are the only voices I can say you might find just a little bit too annoying at first. If you can't stand it, there's always the option to change the voices to Japanese. The Disgaea games have always had a great soundtrack, and it's no question that this one is great as well. The opening theme catches the pace for the adventure ahead, and the other music fit the game to a T. The presentation of this Disgaea game is the best I've seen in the series. The nice, crisp HD sprites are great and look nice. A lot of the sprites and character models are taken from Disgaea 4, and you probably couldn't tell the difference between the two. Attacks and effects always look great and are just as over the top as they have ever been. Crazy and out of this world attacks is just something that is almost required for a Disgaea game, and this game of course does not disappoint. Now the area around the graphics are kind of bland and unappealing to look at. This has been the case for many Disgaea games, and this game did not do anything out of the ordinary to change this at all. Pretty disappointing. Character models look good. Seeing our old friends Lahar, Edna, and Flan's updated look is pretty nice. However, there isn't any animation in any of the artwork, something that the previous games did, but is just absent here. Why? I couldn't really tell you, and it doesn't make any sense. Maybe it was to give it a sort of Disgaea 1 feel, who can say? Gameplay stems from your typical strategy RPG, Disgaea wise, grinding included. For the long-running fans of the series, such as myself, it's nice to see the little subtle changes they made to it that are very appealing to almost everyone. The biggest thing I noticed is the organization of items. Previous games in the series had everything clustered in one or two windows, but not here. There are separate windows for items and different types of equipment that makes things easier to organize and maintain, and just better to look at in general. Creating new characters is still kind of a grind, as you'll need various characters to deal with the threats that the game throws at you. As you progress through, new characters to create are unlocked, but they all start at level 1, and you have to grind them to your current party level to stand a chance. Disgaea games have always done this, and it might turn off some newcomers to the game. However, there are various methods to get a level 1 character as high as level 50 in the early going without spending as much time as 15 minutes. Online message boards are your best source for this type of thing. The best aspect of now creating characters is the promote option, which lets you upgrade a character to its better tier without having to start over at level 1. This cuts out some grinding. My advice in the beginning of the game: create as many different characters as possible so when they level up you can just promote them to a higher tier and make them stronger. Some grinding is required in the main story, but it's nothing short of an obligation if you plan to do more after the story is done. Stats is something that the Disgaea series has always been about, and if you're looking to survive in the post game, you'll need a ton of stats in grinding in general just to stand a chance. Now guys, this at the moment was my strongest character, and I believe he was pretty strong at the time after some heavy grind sessions. And this is the final post-game boss. If you look at his stats, they're literally off the charts. Needless to say, I sort of gave up on trying to beat him, and I'm not proud of myself guys. Sometimes it keeps me up at night, but I digress. New additions to the gameplay include a cheat shop that lets you manipulate percentages of certain attributes. If you want more money, you can increase the percentage, but it comes with the cost of decreasing another percentage, such as experience, for the payoff. There's a demon training dojo to make leveling stats much better and more efficient. and a master and apprentice system that gives stat increases to characters and lets them use skills that the master knows. Pretty cool feature, I gotta say. There's also a monster mount system to utilize for human type characters to ride on monster types. It's a pretty interesting system and allows for crazy attacks, and it has its payoffs and its drawbacks as well, such as the monster is being used to take all the hits, while the human is going to be used to attack. So it's a pretty interesting give and take process to it. Disgaea D2 was a good game. It's pretty much a better version of Disgaea 4, gameplay and almost presentation wise. The story isn't as strong as the other games in this series, but it's not at all bad. The new additions and subtle improvements to the gameplay is a welcome feat and good for those that are starting out with the Disgaea games. Graphics and the 2D sprites look great, but the area around these sprites are just bland and just unappealing. With all that in mind, I've painstakingly come up with a thought process that rewards Disgaea D2 with a score of an 8 out of 10, with the recommendation to check out the other games in the series if you haven't already. And with that, guys, the making of this review has fueled my rage to go beat the final post-game boss once and for all. Back to my regular old grind sessions. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!